Hello friends, welcome back. It's December already. This month, I'm trying something different. There are 3 episodes by the way in this month. So I thought I'll go with people who have birthdays this month as well as connecting them with someone who has a close relationship. So for our first duo, I have Dharmendra ji and Sharmila Tagore. They both have the same birthday, December 8th. Dharmendra ji was born in a small village in Ludhiana district on December 8th, 1935. His father was a teacher, local school teacher, and his mother was a housewife. He grew up, his father was transferred to several small places in Ludhiana. So he grew up in these small towns and villages. He went to Phagwara for his intermediate. He was not so academically inclined, but his father was very ambitious for him. He wanted his son to become an academician, a professor of some sort. Unfortunately for him, Dharmendra ji was obsessed with movies. This happened when he was 12 years old. He went with a cousin to watch the film Shaheed, starring Dilip Kumar. For some reason, this movie made an incredible impact on this young boy, and from that moment on, the madness to become a movie star infected him. His father, a very strict disciplinarian and a man who was in academics, was not at all happy about this. He was not going to let his son go into movies. Mother, however, was very supportive. So in the early 50s, when he was still in his teens, sort of late-ish teens, his mother encouraged him to go to Bombay. He did. He tried for about a year or so to see if he could somehow succeed in Bombay. I think for a small town boy coming from rural Punjab to go to Bombay at that time must have been very overwhelming. And he was not comfortable. He came back to Punjab. He got a job as a mechanic in an American drilling company. He got married to Prakash Kaur in 1954, had a child shortly thereafter. But despite all of these important changes in his life, he was still obsessed with the movies. So finally, his mother told him, why don't you apply for a job in the movie industry, some kind of a job? Maybe then your father will relent. So he ended up signing up for the United Producers Talent Competition, sent in his photograph, got selected to be a finalist. So in 1958, leaving behind his wife and child, with the very, very reluctant blessing of his dad, he went to Mumbai. He won the competition. He was signed on for Bandini at that time by Bimal Roy. But due to certain circumstances, filming of this movie did not start right away. So he had another year and a half or so of struggle to go through, when finally Arjun Hingorani signed him on for Dil Bhi Tera Hum Bhi Tere, which released in 1960. He was a parallel hero. The great Balraj Sahani was the main lead. He was paired opposite Kumkum in this movie. It was a hit, and he never looked back. He acted in a lot of movies in the 60s. Bimal Roy then produced Bandini, so he got to act with the great Nutan. Then he acted with Mala Sinha in Anpad. Mala Sinha, along with Nandaji, was one of the few actors at that time who was willing to act with newcomers. Anpad was a huge hit again, even though his role was pretty small. It was a female-centric movie. Then in 1966 came his absolute blockbuster hit, Phool Aur Patthar, with Meena Kumari. In this movie, for some reason, it struck a chord with the audiences. It was sort of a Sholay of its time, shall we say. He portrayed this kind of rugged macho man kind of a role, and even got to take off his shirt in a couple of scenes. And Garam Dharam was born, and he became a superstar at this point. For the first song today, I am going to share a song from his first movie. It was picturized on him and Kumkum. Music direction was by Kalyanji Anandji. Lyrics actually were shared by Shamim Jaipuri and K.L. Pardesi. For this particular song, K.L. Pardesi wrote the lyrics. Mukesh ji and Lata ji have sung it. Ye vaada kare jahan bhi rahe.
Ye vaada kare jahan bhi rahe. Ye vaada kare jahan bhi rahe.
Tum hamare raho hum tumhare rahe. Ye vaada kare jahan bhi rahe. Tum hamare raho hum tumhare rahe.
Ye vaada kare jahan bhi rahe. Ye vaada kare jahan bhi rahe.
सपना है मेरा मैं भी हूँ तेरी दिल भी है तेरा कितना हंसी सपना है मेरा मैं भी हूँ तेरी दिल भी है तेरा
दिल को मिला है दिल का सहारा साथ न छूटे अब ये हमारा मुस्कुरा के कदम हम मिला के चले ये वादा करें जहाँ भी रहे
तुम हमारे रहो हम तुम्हारे रहे
ये वादा करें जहाँ भी रहे.
Sharmila Tagore was born on December 8, 1944 in Hyderabad, British India, to Shri Gitindranath Tagore and Srimati Ira Tagore. She was related to the great Rabindranath Tagore from both her mother and her father's sides. Her father was in a job which meant he had to travel a lot, so she ended up being in Calcutta with her grandparents so that her schooling would be kind of stable and steady. While there, her maternal aunt introduced her to the Children's Little Theatre. She acted in a lot of productions with them. You know, they had like acting, dancing, all kinds of things. So she did all of these things. And as many of you may already know, she started her movie career at the very, very young age of 13, where she played the bride of Apurva Kumar, who's the lead in this movie, Apur Sansar, Satyajit Ray's movie. And he was very well known to her family, so they were very comfortable with him, you know, including her in this movie. They trusted him to handle her properly and, you know, make everything okay. So she went on after that to act in several of Satyajit Ray's movies, as well as other Bengali movies. She became very popular actually in Bengali cinema. This caused a problem at school. Her school principal requested her father to remove her from school because they felt that she would be a bad influence on the other girls. Father moved her to a different school. She finished her high school and her intermediate, and then she enrolled at Loreto College. She wanted to do a history honors degree. Sadly for her, the prejudices of that time had already set the teachers and quite a number of her fellow students against her because of her acting career. She ended up feeling so persecuted that she dropped out of college and just concentrated on her acting career. In the meanwhile, Shakti Samanta had seen her in a Bengali movie and felt that she would be a fresh new face in Bollywood. So he decided to cast her in Kashmir Ki Kali opposite Shami Kapoor, 1964. Shami ji was always ready to act with newcomers. His only thing was would she be able to speak in Hindi because she's come from Bengali cinema? But everybody assured him, yes, yes, she can speak Hindi. Because she wasn't yet comfortable in Hindi, the dialogues were kept very short. She had very simple, short sentences at a time to deliver. You would have thought that she would have felt overwhelmed acting with the great Shammi Kapoor. Not so, actually. She says that, she was pretty clueless and she was just happy to be out and doing this. That she felt very comfortable with him. She said the only time she was uncomfortable was when his younger brother Shashi Kapoor came to watch some of the shooting. She said she was so besotted with Shashi Kapoor that she couldn't give her dialogues when he was standing in front of her. Anyway, Kashmir Ki Kali became a huge hit and Sharmila Tagore never looked back. Bollywood was her mainstay, even though she continued to act in a lot of Bengali movies as well, but Bollywood became her main thing. My first share for Sharmila Tagore today is from Kashmir Ki Kali. It's a solo picturized on her, sung by Asha ji so beautifully. O.P. Nair's music, S.H. Bihari's lyrics. Sadly, this movie did not make, the song did not make the movie. They did not include it, maybe too long, I don't know, but it was cut out. Which is really sad actually, it's a very lovely song. Balma khuli hawa mein.
बलमा खुली हवा में महकी हुई फिजा में दिल चाहता है मेरा बहकना इधर बलमा खुली हवा महकी हुई फिजा में दिल चाहता है मेरा बहकना इधर उधर चलूं बल खाती खुद भी न जानू कहाँ पग पग चलूं बल खाती खुद भी न जानू कहाँ कहता है ये दिल मतवाला आज अपना है सारा जहाँ हो बलमा खुली हवा
Sharmila ji rose to the top very quickly. She also was offered a variety of roles, and by this I mean the very glamorous modern girl kind of roles, as well as socially significant, small town, very complex, meaningful roles as well. She managed to straddle both these worlds with great ease, and this was throughout her career, by the way. Even as she matured as an actor, she continued to be offered these kinds of movies, which is pretty unusual for those times. She, of course, because of her immediate success, got to act with all the top heroes of the time. This meant, of course, Dharmendra. So the first movie they both were paired together in was Devar. It was based on a Bengali story. But the actual first release happened to be Anupama, which was a Rishikesh Mukherjee movie. And so I guess technically that became the first Sharmila Dharmendra movie. It was a very, very good movie. Amazing star cast. You had Deven Verma, you had Durga Khote, Dharmendra, of course, Sharmila Tagore, Shashikala, a lot of veterans, David Abraham. You would have thought that she might have felt a little overwhelmed when confronted by this kind of star power, but she is very comfortable and she's not at all eclipsed. She has very little dialogue in this movie. She plays the role of Uma, the daughter of a very abusive father. She's this very unloved child who is very afraid, very timid, very cowed down. Most of her talking is done through her expressions. So her eyes and the famous dimpled smile, she is really very, very good. Hemant Kumar's music with Kaifi Azmi's lyrics. Fantastic combination. Kaifi Saab has outdone himself with the lyrics, and Hemant Kumar, especially for the song that I'm going to share with you, it's a solo by Lata ji. Hemant da has very, very intelligently used minimal instrumentation and just let Lata ji's incredible voice dominate this very sweet song. कुछ दिल ने कहा कुछ भी नहीं.
ऐसी भी बातें होती हैं, ऐसी भी बातें होती हैं, कुछ दिल ने कहा कुछ भी नहीं.
Dharam ji was very busy through the 60s and the 70s, acted in a lot of good films with all the top heroines. Like, he was a man who was not afraid of taking on even small roles. You know, there was no ego here with him. If the small role was a meaningful role and it meant he was contributing in a meaningful way for the movie, or if it was a favor for a friend, he was there, he would do it with great sincerity. When he acted with Sharmila Tagore, I told you, Anupama was the first movie that was released. Devar, the second movie. The chemistry between these two people is excellent, by the way. They're very good together. Somehow it's a very nice star pairing, I think. Devar was based on a short novel, a Bengali novel. It was made into a Bengali movie also in the 50s and a Tamil movie in the early 60s. It had a fantastic star cast, actually very similar to Anupama's star cast. Very well made movie. It's a tragedy, but everybody has acted so well. Devan Verma is really outstanding in this movie. It's a very negative role that he has, but he's executed it flawlessly. Music for this movie was excellent. It was Roshan with Anand Bakshi's lyrics. Very, very beautiful pairing of the two of them. The songs, for the most part, are very sad. The whole movie is a very sad movie. The song that I want to share is a solo by Mukesh ji, picturized on Dharam. And it's beautifully sung by Mukesh ji. He has the right amount of sadness anger, bitterness, you know, nothing over the top, but he has it just right. Baharon ne mera chaman loot kar.
बहारों ने मेरा चमन लूट कर खिज़ां को ये इल्ज़ाम क्यों दे दिया किसी ने चलो दुश्मनी की मगर इसे दोस्ती नाम क्यों दे दिया बहारों ने मेरा चमन लूट कर मैं समझा नहीं ऐ मेरे हमनशी सजा ये मिली है मुझे किस लिए सजा ये मिली है मुझे किस लिए कि साकी ने लब से मेरे छीन कर किसी और को जाम क्यों दे दिया बहारों ने मेरा चमन लूट कर
Dharamji continued to adapt to the times. So, you know, through the 70s and even the 80s, acted in a lot of movies with all kinds of different heroines, co-stars, multi-starrers, all kinds of movies. He had brought his family down in the 60s from Punjab. His father, even though he was not happy about his son's choice of career, was still a loving parent and forgave his son. His family grew. He had another son now and 2 other daughters. And as all of you know, he met Hema ji while filming Tum Haseen Main Jawan, and they fell in love and they got married in 1980, and he has 2 daughters with her. In fact, I think some of his best hits have been with Hema ji. That chemistry is unmistakable. Dharamji, however, through all of this, I mean, he's seen incredible success in his life. He never lost that sense of being grounded. He was always the same caring, very kind, loving man, no ego, extremely humble. Everybody who meets him, everyone who's had any kind of interaction with him, say this about him. There is an incident that I'd like to tell you all about. This happened during the shooting of Yakeen. He was paired with Sharmila Tagore in this movie. It was released in 1969. He plays a double role in this movie, the hero and the villain. And as the villain, he had to wear contact lenses to make his eyes appear blue. These lenses were causing a lot of irritation in his eyes, and consequently, he was irritable. Javed Akhtar Saab was the director's assistant for this movie. He happened to give Dharamji the wrong lines, and Dharamji got very upset and yelled at him. Then, you know, he went on to shoot, and after the whole thing was shot and everything, Dharamji came back to Javed Akhtar Saab and apologized for yelling at him like that, explained to him what was happening and why he was so irritable. Javed Akhtar Saab, to this day, has not forgotten this show of kindness and greatness, wouldn't you think, to be able to go and apologize to a humble director's assistant for something that you did and you could have gotten away with because you're the big star. Yakeen was a fun movie, action-packed. It had murder, mystery, espionage, all kinds of things, along with Dharam playing both villain and hero. The song that I'm going to share with you from Yakeen, it's a tandem song. Rafi Saab, Lata ji have sung this. The music was very good for this movie. Shankar Jaikishan's music with Hasrat Jaipuri's lyrics. This song is very, very nice. Both of them have sung it very well. Gar tum bhula na doge, sapne ye sach hi honge, हम तुम जुदा न होंगे.
कर तुम भुला न दोगे सपने ये सच ही होंगे हम तुम जुदा न होंगे हम तुम जुदा न होंगे गर तुम भुला न दोगे सपने ये सच ही होंगे हम तुम जुदा न होंगे हम तुम जुदा न होंगे जिस दम हमें बनाया डाली दिलों में धड़कन और दिल से दिल मिलाया फिर प्यार का फरिश्ता दुनिया में लेके आया गर तुम भुला न दोगे सपने ये सच ही होंगे हम तुम जुदा न होंगे हम तुम जुदा न होंगे.
Sharmila Tagore was an icon for the modern woman. She was independent, she was strong, she was glamorous, and this was both on and off screen. When she moved to Bombay, she was in her, I would say, late teens, 17, 18. She came alone. She lived alone at the Hotel Taj. She had no chaperones, no, star mom hanging around, breathing down her back, nothing of the sort. This was a lady who was very strong, and she was exploring who she was, essentially, spreading her wings, right, and maturing into the amazing lady she became later. She took on all kinds of roles. She never hesitated to take on roles that would stretch her imagination, stretch her acting talent as well, really try her out kind of roles. Evening in Paris, she had a negative role in that. I mean, it was a double role, but she even danced cabarets for that movie. Okay, I mean, this was something that heroines of that era would never do. She took on the role of her own co-star's mother in Aradhana. This was at the peak of her career. Everyone told her this is going to kill her career stone dead. Not true. Movie was a super hit, and so was she. She even had a photo shoot for a film magazine in a bikini. Scandalized the heck out of everyone, but she didn't care. In the meanwhile, she meets the iconic Nawab of Pataudi, Mansoor Ali Khan, who of course was probably India's most eligible bachelor at that time. It had to happen, right? I mean, this amazing beauty meeting this handsome icon of a man, captain of the Indian cricket team. So they got married, 1968. She continued to act. Both of them had great admiration and respect for each other's careers. They never felt that, one was more important than the other. It was a true partnership. He was very supportive and encouraging of her acting career, and she always supported his cricket, even though she says she had other people she was bigger fans of, not him. Kidding. Anyway, as she continued to act with Dharmendra too. So this last song that I'd like to share with you is from Chupke Chupke, released in 1975. What a fantastic movie. I must have seen it over a dozen times, maybe over 20 times, I don't know. I love that movie. Everything about that movie was great. It was absolutely perfect. Rishikesh Mukherjee directing with a very light hand, S.D. Burman's music. Oh my God, what a fantastic movie. Amitabh Bachchan, Jaya Bachchan, Asrani, David Abraham. What a star cast. Om Prakash. Oof, love this movie. Mukesh ji and Lata have sung this duet that's picturized on Sharmila Tagore and Dharmendra. And that's the song, last song for today. बागों में कैसे ये फूल खिलते हैं.
बागों में कैसे ये फूल खिलते हैं, हो खिलते हैं.
खिलते हैं भंवरों से जब फूल मिलते हैं, हो मिलते हैं.
बागों में
हंसते हैं रोते हैं कलियों के संग सारे. कलियों के खिलने से दिल भी खिलते हैं, हो खिलते हैं.
बागों में.
That's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the duo concept. Let me know, write in your feedback and let me know what you thought about this. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, remember, music is food for the soul. Keep listening.